All right. Hello, Durud and Shalom. Hi, guys. I'm here with Seth Dillon, the CEO of Babylon B. Wow, that's crazy. Hi, Seth.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Good, good. This is amazing. I didn't actually think that. Thank you so much for coming here and speaking to us. This is such an honor. Would For the people who might not know who you are, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot more people know what the Babylon Bee is than know who I am. I'm the guy behind the scenes that runs it. I have to be out there in front a little bit representing us in the media and stuff like that. But the Babylon Bee is like news satire, right? So it's like The Onion, if you're familiar with The Onion. Funny fake news where we're trying to parody what's going on in the world, which is becoming increasingly difficult as the world becomes more and more absurd. But, we do satire for the purpose of entertainment, obviously to make people laugh, but also to, criticize the people and the ideas that deserve criticism. And mockery is a very effective way of doing that. So, we're based in the United States, and we have a growing team of writers and creative minds that are involved in producing our content. Now we're branching out into video and all that stuff. But I've been running the Bee for the last, I guess, like 6 or 7 years. And we turned 10 this year. We'll have our 10th anniversary coming up in March. So right. It's a lot of fun, very entertaining. It's a cross section though of, culture and comedy and politics and all of that stuff. So I have my hand in a little bit of all of it. And we've found ourselves kind of defending free speech in the public square as there've been efforts to censor us. And so that's one of the main reasons we're known. Elon Musk bought Twitter to unban us and all of that stuff. So
right.
For those who don't know.
And politically, you're more on the conservative side, right?
Much more on the conservative side, yes. Yeah.
And
I'm not over there on the ultra far right where you have where it kind of acts like a horseshoe and loops all the way around to the left.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with collectivism and communism or fascism. I fight often with what I call the radical right or the woke right. The people who are trying to rehabilitate Hitler's image and engage in all kinds of white supremacist authoritarianism. None of that. That's not conservatism. I'm an actual conservative, a real conservative.
Right. So, and you've also been very much involved in the more recent internal fight among conservatives, where against the anti-Semites, against the anti-Israeli people, against the isolationists.
Yeah.
Like the people like the Nick Fuentes types or the Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson's. You're more on the more traditional, sane part of the conservative rather than the part that is more closer to the far left.
Yeah, and you're basically kind of like a false choice that people lay out there. You're either this isolationist who's against all foreign involvement, foreign aid, foreign intervention, America first / America only, or you're like one of these neocon war hawks who just wants war with everyone and wants to try to spread democracy throughout the world through these failed policies of the past. And, they'll try to suggest that you're either one or the other, but that obviously isn't the case. There's a lot of people who there's a little bit more nuance to it than that. But yes.
Okay. So, for example, with Israel, but by the way, guys, we're going to get to Iran and the current protests and the Mullahs and everything soon. But this is what I'm working our way towards that right now. But because we're just having I just want to get a better understanding of what your position is. So, for example, with regards to Israel, are you a defender of Israel? Do you value United States and Israel's relationship? What's your position on that?
Yes. So I stand firmly in Trump's corner with respect to his position on Israel. I view Israel as a important, geopolitical ally, but also an ally in terms of values, Western values, being representatives of Western values in a place where there's a lot of hostility to Western values. The shared ethics and values and religious roots that we have, and what is now, it's a dirty word for some people on the right, but Judeo-Christian values, the bedrock of the Christian faith. It's also the bedrock of the Jewish faith in the Old Testament. I see a tremendous amount of reasons to be allied with Israel and to defend Israel when they have the need to defend themselves. If they're being attacked by enemies who want to wipe them off the map, they have every right to defend themselves, and they should expect and receive support from their allies when they do. So I'm squarely in their corner in the conflicts that they have going on, the multiple conflicts that they have going on, often for our benefit.
Right, exactly. And where do you see U.S.'s involvement? So do you agree with this, that Israel has been a force that has been responsible for America being less involved in wars because Israel is taking care of supporting, having Israel as an ally? Because a lot of Jew haters kind of suggest that Israel drags America into a lot of wars. But my understanding is that Israel, as an ally of the United States, has been taking care of business so well in the Middle East that a lot of American involvement that would have been necessary if Israel wasn't there, has been taken care of by Israel, and a lot of American troops have been saved, and a lot of money has been saved, and a lot of American lives have been saved because Israel is so efficient at taking care of not just its own enemies but also America's enemies. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding. It is not my position that Israel is creating more conflicts for us and sending our young men off to die on their behalf.
Right.
Do we provide a lot of aid? Yes, we do. Do we have good reasons for that in many cases? Yes, we do. But we're certainly not. We're not sacrificing our children for the sake of Israel because we worship Israel, as the critics like to say. I'm more in your corner on that.
Okay, sounds good. And how do you see American involvement? What do you think America, when it comes to, you say you're not completely on the neocon side, so far to that side that you just want endless wars and stuff, but you're also not an isolationist. So what is the more nuanced middle ground that you defend when it comes to American involvement in foreign wars?
I think that, foreign policy, first of all, is not like my area of expertise where I even really think about these things a lot. But I'm not a pacifist or a non-interventionist who thinks that America just needs to be concerned with itself, because I think that internationally we have some responsibility with the power and influence that we have. We do have real allies around the world, and it makes sense to maintain those relationships. And there are conflicts internationally that affect us here at home. And so, selective aggressive maybe is the right way to describe it. Selective aggressive, where it's, you're not out there just trying to get involved in various conflicts for the sake of conflicts. I have no interest in these quote unquote forever wars. Where you get stuck in a quagmire, you can't get out. You're years and years into something where you thought you had your mission accomplished already. All of that, I think, is very problematic, very costly, financially and in human lives. So it's a matter of making a determination of which conflicts you get involved in and why, but not just this blanket across the board. We're never going to be involved in anybody's business but our own. We're America only, or something like that. I think that's foolish. I think it's imprudent and in many cases self-defeating. So I don't know what you would call it. I'm not a neocon war hawk, as someone will say that I am, because I'm not an interventionist. I don't fall into one of those two extremes. Somewhere in the reasonable middle, I would say.
Would you say what Trump did with Maduro in Venezuela, is that a reasonable, is that a type of middling type of intervention that you would support?
Well, I mean, you're not looking at a situation there where we're occupying that country with boots on the ground for an extended period of time. At least that's not the plan. Hopefully, it's not the plan. This was a smash and grab. You go in there and you get the guy that's, and this is where I briefly mentioned that there are international events or conflicts or figures that impact our life here at home. Some people here in the States are saying that this didn't have anything to do with drugs. This is about oil and whatever. obviously there's a lot of factors. Obviously, we don't know all of the reasons why the administration is doing what it's doing, but there were drugs pouring into our borders, through our borders, from other countries. There currently are. We have this problem with Mexico right now. Venezuela is no different. We've had issues with them. This is a narco terrorist, as he's been described accurately, I think, by Marco Rubio. So it is a different situation than one of these like long-term engagements for the sake of regime change because we're trying to spread democracy throughout the world or something like that. This is qualitatively different than one of those scenarios.
So would you support a similar involvement in Iran against the Islamic Republic, given that right now the Islamic Republic seems to be so close to the edge of collapse, and given that the Islamic Republic is America's, in my opinion, America's #1 enemy?
Yeah.
Not its most capable enemy, but its most determined enemy. Would you think that would helping the Iranian people at a moment like this to help them succeed at their revolution against the regime be something that you would be in support of?
I guess it all depends on how that plays out. I don't know. I don't know, because I know obviously we have a situation where with what happened in Iraq was it's still a topic. It's still a thorny issue where you have a lot of debate and disagreement about what should have been done, what the justifications were for us getting involved in that. As long as you have the right justification and you can have some sort of a swift resolution, I think you're going to get a lot of Americans supporting it. I think what a lot of Americans are resistant to is, again, that kind of like that phrase that's thrown around, those forever wars, those that are aimed at regime change that just don't. It's not like a quick, let's get in and get out, like bombing a nuclear facility overnight, and it's over the next morning. You're talking about something a little bit more involved there. So honestly, I don't know. I'm still trying to get up to speed on what's currently going on over there with these protests and what's happening over there. So any insight you can give me into that would be helpful in me trying to figure out my own perspective on this.
Right. So the thing is that the revolution right now, it has a leader. His name is Prince Reza Pahlavi, which is the son of the former Shah. And right now, the Iranian people are chanting his name in the streets. They're risking their lives out there and this is a huge red line for the regime. The regime has lost many of its previous ideological battles to the point that not wearing the hijab is not a red line anymore. Even speaking against Islam is not a red line anymore as much as it used to be, because they has completely lost those fronts completely. So the only two red lines remaining in Iran is supporting Israel and supporting Pahlavi, which shows what the regime's weaknesses are. And interestingly, actually, I get videos from inside Iran, and people are even saying "I'm Israel Chai" while protesting in the streets of Iran right now, which means
really
long live. Yeah. So, which means long live the nation of Israel, for people who don't know. So they're mentioning, but the main chants are in support of Prince Reza Pahlavi, because the Iranian people are very aware that the regime knows that it's collapsing, and it's trying to do a rebranding by promoting some other alternatives as an opposition, just to be able to keep the IRGC in power and keep their wealth and keep the current system just with a new paint job. So, but the Iranian people in the previous rounds of this revolution, people used to just chant against the regime. But right now, most of the
chants. What do you mean by a new paint job? What is the difference? Is it a different name and face attached to it? What is the difference?
Yeah, so it's the idea of a third republic. So the first republic was Khomeini. The second republic is Khamenei. The thing that the Iranian people are worried about is that the Islamic Republic manages to instead of completely the system falling apart, manages to transition to a third republic by giving the Iranian people some social freedoms, liberties, like saying no mandatory hijab, drinking alcohol is free, concerts are free, dancing is free. Many just allow a lot of other types of freedom. And also the Third Republic may probably, with the leadership of somebody like Rouhani or Tajzadeh, come and say that we're not going to support terrorism, we're not going to attack America. But then the IRGC system stays in place. That means that The economy will be controlled by IRGC. Most of the military power will be controlled by IRGC. There's no privatization, no competition, no so we get social freedoms, but we're not going to get economic freedoms, and we're not going to get political freedoms, meaning even though people are free to dance and show their hair, they're going to have to do that hungry, because that means that we're going to continue to be stuck with poverty, with air pollution, with our environment being destroyed, with electricity cuts, with power outages and water shortages and all of that. So we're just going to be able to we're going to be able to drink alcohol, but we're going to need to do that because we're going to be so poor that we need to drink alcohol to mask our depression, because we're going to dance and sing to be able to dance. So it's good that we're going to be able to dance, but we're going to need that because we're going to be too depressed because we're going to be poor. So we want total So we want a total collapse of the system. We don't want a paint job. We don't want a rebranding. And the Iranian people have.
Do you feel like what's happening right now is it's like an inflection point that's been reached? Like
yes,
people are at their wits' end, and they're ready to force a change.
Exactly. And everything has become aligned for this moment to happen, because thanks to Israel, the Islamic Republic is really, really weak, because in the 12-day war, they took out all the leaders of the IRGC, and the economic situation is really bad. And Pahlavi and his team are more popular than ever, and more organized than ever, and more connected than ever, and more established than ever. And the Pahlavi name is not just because we believe him in a leader and we also believe in his team and his plan, but it's also because we can't trust anyone else. So supporting Pahlavi means that all forms of rebranding by the regime will not happen. We know that if this is a Pahlavi revolution, then it's not going to be a rebranding attempt by the government, right? So this is why we know that any other name or any other person or any other movement is just a government's attempt, the regime's attempt to steer away the revolution from Pahlavi to something that it could tolerate. And here's how we tell foreigners to check, because all the other names that the regime tries to push to us, they just check what their views are on Israel, what their views are on the imperialist West, because most of the people who are anti-Pahlavi, who are trying to sell themselves as the leader of the opposition, they're also anti-Zionist, they're also anti the imperialist West, they're also for the Palestinian cause. And I think Westerners and Israelis should, it's very telling that everybody who hates Pahlavi also hates Israel. So, and given that Pahlavi himself is pro-America, Prince Reza Pahlavi is pro-America and pro-Israel, and part of his 100-day plan for the transition period is to immediately recognize the state of Israel, should tell Americans and Israelis that this is the guy you trust. And also it's a very, very telling that, look, isn't this, Seth, isn't this really... isn't this very telling that the Iranian people have chosen a leader that is both pro-Israeli and pro-American? Doesn't that make you optimistic about the future of Iran, that this is the guy that the Iranian people have chosen as the leader of the revolution?
Extremely optimistic. Yes. I mean, that's a very good sign that things would be turning in a positive direction. Yes.
Right.
Are you
yes.
Do you think that the current regime is taking seriously, like Trump's threat, for example? I think he said, I guess it was a few days ago, when he's like, we're locked and loaded. If you get violent with these protesters, we're ready to go. I mean, they've got to take him seriously, right?
Yes, the regime is really, really scared. And I think that's part of the reason why, not that compared to the previous round, waves of this revolution, we are not seeing as many people dying, right? So unfortunately, I think there are still people dying. Last time I checked, it was getting above 20. But in the previous waves, for example, if you look at Bloody November, the regime, when the revolution got to this point, we had thousands of people killed by the regime, thousands. Right. And right now, because of the threat of Israel and Trump, it's around 20. I'm pretty sure it's higher by now, because every time I check the number, it gets higher. But and every death is a tragedy, but it's completely different from what the regime used to do when the number was in thousands. So this is thanks to Trump. And also Prince Reza Pahlavi thanked Trump for that message. He came out and thanked Trump. And also another point that I want to say, like that when we like if we appreciate the American involvement, we're talking about very, very surgical and limited support, and
Right.
we do not want boots on the ground. We don't, like Americans and Iranians would agree on this. Americans don't want boots on the ground in Iran, and Iranians don't want boots on the ground by Americans inside Iran. So
Right.
we're basically talking about like just scaring the regime forces, just to make them um, think twice before they come into the streets. Just something, just basically exactly what Trump did. Not like getting involved in a messy war or anything
Right.
like that. Just
Yeah.
that level of support.
Well, he likes to use sanctions or targeted strikes, escalating rhetoric and threats of more engagement to see where he can get to with that before, it doesn't seem to me that he currently has a plan for like full scale intervention and in a regime change effort, but he would support that. It sounds like to me.
Yeah, and we don't want an American regime change. Like we Iranians, we want an Iranian regime change.
Right,
We don't
right.
like because if America comes and does regime change, it wouldn't be an Iranian regime change, and we don't want that. We
Right.
want the Iranian people to do the regime change, but like we're talking about very small, limited support just to give the Iranian people just a little bit of an advantage. That's all. Not about like coming here and doing the regime change. That's all.
Well, from what Trump says and what he signals, it sounds like you probably have that from him. Depending on where things go from here, how involved we end up getting remains to be seen. But he's signaled. He's wearing a "Make Iran Great Again" hat.
I know. I saw that. Like, I saw.
Or he was with someone wearing one.
Yeah, actually, let me show it on the. But he was with Lindsey Graham here.
Yeah, was it Lindsey Graham that was wearing it?
So
he signed it.
Yeah, and also it's not just that it's a "Make Iran Great Again" hat. It's also the lion and sun symbol is also right next to it, right? And right next to the flag, which makes it a Pahlavi, supporting hat. So it's not just, so that's why we got very excited when we saw that. We got very excited. By the way, let me actually show you some other things that are happening here. So I actually haven't seen these. Somebody from Iran just sent me, said, hey, show this on the show. And I haven't seen this. So breaking: Iranian police are seen now showing support for ongoing protests in Iran. I just saw this myself. I haven't seen this yet. Do you want to watch this together?
Yeah, sure.
So, okay.
سیل جمعیت شهرستان آبدانان 15 دی‌ماه نیروی انتظامی با مردم.
So this is from today. This is from today, and he's saying that the armed forces are joining the people.
آبدانان 15 دی‌ماه نیروی انتظامی همراه مردم.
So this is actually very encouraging, because this is exactly what we need. What we need is for the armed forces to and oh my god, like actually look at this one as well, because you can see the numbers here. Just 1 second, sorry. Here, give me a second. If I could bring this up here. Yeah, also look at this one. Look at this. Look at the numbers. So yeah, crazy numbers. Like, and it's getting bigger every day. So yeah, those are just the videos from today. Just wanted you to see that.
Wow. Yeah, it's looking like it's escalating quite a bit, but I don't see violence against the protesters. I wonder if law enforcement, if officers are joining in with the protesters, do they risk severe penalty for that, including like execution? Like, is that the kind of thing they can be killed for?
definitely they risk execution. That's actually that's a huge red line. So I actually haven't seen that ever before to that extent. So I'm actually quite surprised right now myself. So this is very encouraging. Yeah. Do you? By the way, I know that in America the name Prince Reza Pahlavi is not that known, and not that many people are familiar with that. But it would be one of the most important thing, one of the best things that Americans could do right now is to just look him up, and also look up the fact that Iranian people are chanting his name right now in the streets of Iran. That like that's who they want, because and this is, I say this not for the sake of us Iranians, but also for the sake of Americans, because Prince Reza Pahlavi is the only way for, it's the only guarantee that Iran, after the Islamic Republic, Iran will become a trusted U.S. ally and also a trusted Israeli ally, right? Because there are a lot of fake opposition that these are commies, these are leftists. Like, by the way, I don't know if you know, but like in Iran, people, one of the chants right now in the streets of Iran is Marg bar se fasid, Mullah chapi mujahid, which means death to the three corruptions: the mullahs, the leftists, and the MEK. And this is something that Iranian people are even chanting in the universities. So while in America's university and in Canada's universities and Western Europe universities, university students are chanting free Palestine, our university students are saying death to the three corruptions, and one of them is leftist. Because we're not just trying to remove the Islamic Republic. We're trying to remove the entire ideological framework that made the Islamic Republic happen. Because a lot of people don't know that the 1979 revolution was not an Islamic revolution. It was a leftist Islamic revolution. And we're trying to completely destroy the entire foundation that made this possible. And a lot of the fake opposition who are trying to act like they're anti-Islamic Republic, but they're being used by the Islamic Republic for the rebranding. They are basically leftists who are also anti-American, anti-imperialist, or anti-Zionist. So if America wants to make sure that once the Islamic Republic is gone, what comes in its place is not another version of, I don't know, anti-Western or anti-Zionist or an isolationist, commie kind of regime, then supporting Pahlavi, it doesn't cost America anything. It doesn't require any military involvement. Just recognizing that Iranian people want Pahlavi, and Pahlavi is also the best option for America. I think that education.
What have you heard from America on that front? Has Rubio, for example, expressed any explicit I know they're supporting the protesters, but have they supported? Right. How do you say his name? Pahlavi,
yes. Pahlavi. So Rubio once met with Pahlavi, okay, and we have pictures of that, okay, but he's not mentioning any type of support, and Trump has never supported Prince Reza Pahlavi. The closest we have gotten was that hat that you just saw in that image.
Yeah.
the lion and sun.
It's implicit.
Yes, it's very implicit, but we haven't seen any explicit support. And that's what we're hoping to change. I mean, Israel, for example, Gila Gamliel from Netanyahu's cabinet, she supports Prince Reza Pahlavi like almost daily, like sometimes. Like she's like, so Prince Reza Pahlavi has Israel support, but we don't yet have America support, and we don't know why. Because it doesn't cost America anything. And he's the best option for America, and he's also the choice of the Iranian people. So we're trying to talk to more conservatives and tell them to basically talk about Prince Reza Pahlavi more and familiarize them more, and maybe try to advocate for Americans to support Prince Reza Pahlavi. And we don't know why. And what do you have any theories, maybe, like, for why they are not talking about him?
Do I personally have theories about that? No, I don't. Probably just to be guarded and not show their hand too much in terms of what they're explicitly. They're trying not to be explicit about what they support. Apart from the fact that they are currently opposed very vocally to the regime in power and supportive of the protesters. I'm not sure why. Either it's just guarded or they have their reasons for withholding some kind of actual like endorsement. I'm not sure what those could possibly be, and I don't know enough about the history there anyway. I mean, he's never had. I mean, he's not like he's been basically in exile his entire life, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, not his entire life, but most of his life. Yes.
Yeah.
He has. Yeah. He was born in Iran. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Here's something that I need to tell you, because I know Americans have a bad experience with monarchy, right? And a lot of Americans, when they hear Pahlavi, they hear monarchy.
Well, yeah, he's not pushing for a monarchy, right? Isn't he? He's pushing for some kind of democracy.
Oh, actually, then you're more aware than most people. So he's pushing for a referendum for Iranian people to choose between a republic and a constitutional monarchy, not an absolute monarchy. So the Iranian people, they want secular democracy. Like every single poll shows that the vast majority of Iranian people want a secular democracy, right? And that secular democracy could come in the form of a republic or a constitutional monarchy, which will also be democratic, because it's like a constitutional monarchy like Norway, like Sweden, like Japan, like Denmark. It's not going to be like Saudi Arabia, right? It's not an absolute monarch. We're going to have a parliament. We're going to have a prime minister. If it does become a constitutional monarchy, it's going to be because the people voted in the referendum and they've chosen. Like, it's not going to be forced upon the people. It's going to be.
Can you explain something to me real quick? Because I have a question about what you're saying.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, Iran is overwhelmingly Muslim.
No,
it's not.
No. The latest poll shows that Iran has now turned into a Muslim minority country.
So what's the majority?
The majority is nuns. So I'm an atheist. Okay. I'm an ex-Muslim atheist, but I'm not the majority. The majority right now, I mean, I don't know if it's the majority, is the people with the highest number, is more accurate to say. The peoples with the highest number are the people who believe in God but have no religion. So they have left Islam, they have kept God, they believe in God, but they have no religion. So we call them nuns. So they're nuns, right? So
is this like based on recent polling data or something? Like, or is this?
Yeah, this is based on.
Where are you getting that from?
No, this is based on scientifically collected data. You could look at it at Gammon polling. It's a polling based in Netherlands.
I'll have to look at that, because I mean that would make more sense for why secular democracy is popular. I wouldn't expect a predominantly or overwhelmingly Muslim nation to be in favor of a secular democracy.
Oh, okay. Let me actually tell you something. Actually, even the Muslims. So right now, 30% of Iran has remained Shia Muslim. Okay, but that poll shows that even the Shia Muslims want a secular democracy, and because of the experience that they had with religion and government. So even the people who have remained Muslim, they also want a secular democracy. They're like, I'm going to be Muslim at home. We don't need it in the government. Like, they had a really bad experience with religion and government. Do you want me to show you the data?
Interesting. That's blowing my mind, because I didn't know those were the statistics. I'm going to have to look at that.
I could bring it up right now if you want. Let me see. This is going to. Yeah. By the way, let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind even more. I don't have data. I have data for people like nearly people leaving Islam in millions. Okay, so I could show you that data right now, right? But I will also tell you, this is more based on personal experience and not data, but I will bet money on this. Okay, I would bet money that Iran is right now the Islamophobia capital of the world.
Wow.
Right. So I think there's no country on the planet where Islam is hated more than in Iran, because of their experience with Islamic Republic. But here, this is
That is wild to
date.
hear. Okay. What is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. So let's go. So this is the poll based on Gamon, which is it's an academic study based on some people in Netherlands. So so you can see 80% still believe in God,
Mhm.
right? But if you go here, okay, so this is the numbers, right? And this is in 2020. I believe that it has changed even since then. So Shia Muslim 32%, non 22%, atheist 88. So sorry, 8%, 9%. So if you add them together, they end up being more than the Shia Muslim. So, but Shia Muslim means that they're a minority. Zoroastrian 8%, spiritual 7%. Oh, agnostic. I think you could add the agnostics to the non-religious as well. 6%. Sunni Muslim 5%. But you can see that Shia Muslim and Sunni Muslim, if you add them together, that's 37%. So that's a minority now in Iran.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess it explains some of the shift in thinking. You don't have the people, these protesters aren't standing in the streets chanting, the regime's mantra, death to America. That's good.
Oh, no. Actually, the same organization has the poll that shows that the number one favorite country of Iranians is America. So no country is more popular among Iranians than America. Iran is a very America-friendly country.
And is that primarily because of America's opposition to the regime?
Partly, but it's also because it's a great country and you have like the best music, the best movies, the best like America is great. But I mean, but that reason that you just gave me is the reason why more and more Iranians are becoming more pro-Israeli as well, because we have a lot of mutual interests with Israel. We have the same enemy, we have the same political enemy and the same ideological enemy, and also like we're both fighting the Islamic Republic. We're both.
It's interesting that shift is happening. Well, in America, you have a very, I would say, orchestrated and organized effort to reduce support for Israel here. A lot of the podcasters and commentators are just constantly. It's an obsession. We call it, Israel derangement syndrome. Just like people on the that were so opposed to Trump had like this Trump derangement syndrome where nothing he said could ever possibly be good because they hated him so much. You have that rising in the United States where there's an effort to try to convince people that Israel is the true enemy of the world, basically.
Right. Actually, now that you said that, let me show you this from inside the protest. People shouting "Am Israel Chai" inside Iran in the middle of the protest.
Yeah, pull that up.
Okay. Why is this? Why am I? Hold on. Let me try. I don't understand why this is sharing like that. Okay, let me just edit it properly to make it bigger. Sorry about this. Go. Okay. Save. Update layout. All right. Let me just. Okay. So watch this. This was sent to me from inside Iran. All right. So this was from 2 days ago from inside Iran in the middle of protest. So he's saying Magbar Dictator, which means death to the dictator.
Exclusively for Atheist Republics from Mashhad.
So this is from Mashhad. He's mentioning our channel. It's like for Armin, for my Armin.
Thank you, Armin, Zandawad Iran. Thank you, Donald Jr. Trump, for taking out the fucking mother. Oh shit, they're coming. What are they? I'm Israel.
But by the way, I have multiple videos. That's just one of them. I have multiple videos of people shouting "Am Israel Chai." Let me tell you something else. That this might actually blow your mind as well. In the West, in America, Canada, and Western Europe, whenever the Israelis are protesting, and you see like against the pro-Palestine people or whatever, whenever you see flags of like a wave flags of Israel, you will always find a lion and sun flag of Iran in the middle of them as well. Like not like a whole bunch of Iranians. Iranians in the West always show up to support their Israeli friends with their with the proper flag of Iran, which is actually this one right here, the lion and sun flag, not the one with the Allah in there.
Right.
This is the proper flag. Yeah.
The proper flag.
The proper flag. Yeah. But yeah, everywhere you see Israelis protesting, you always find Iranians. When Iranians find that Israelis are going to go gather somewhere and protest, they will go there for support.
Wow.
In the West. Yeah.
This has been very instructive. I'm learning a lot here. We should talk more
Okay.
often.
Okay. Yeah, I would be happy to.
No,
do
this
that.
is helpful. I mean, you're not wrong to want to have these conversations with. I mean, I wouldn't limit it to just conservatives, but you know, people like me who are in the media who are commenting on cultural, but also like geopolitical stuff at times. You know, it's good inside insight.
Okay. Well, by the way, I took more of your time than you told me that you're available. Sorry, I just noticed that. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm going to let you go. Okay. But and also just so yeah, go on.
Oh yeah, I do need to wrap in just a minute, but you're fine.
Okay, so yeah, so thank you so much for being. Did you want to? I mean, I know you're already pretty well known, so you don't need to promote anything. But just for the sake of, not for your sake, but for the sake of people who are watching, can you tell people where to find you and where to find your work?
Yeah, well, you can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, Seth Dillon at Seth Dillon. But then the Babylon Bee, of course, is all over social media. Get on our newsletter if you want to get our daily articles and support the site. We need the support.
Okay, well, and Seth, let me know if you ever have any questions or need it, like if this becomes a bigger thing and you think like it deserves more attention, feel free to reach out to me, and if you ever think that would be useful in any way.
Yeah, same. Feel free to reach out to me too. Send me stuff you want to get my eyes on.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Seth. All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So let me just end this.